like start working on recall immediately, because recall is already one of the hardest things to like be successful with, I think. And
Yeah,
like I like to start that right away, because when in doubt, as long as you can get their attention and you can call them over to you, like, like right
yes,
there, you can you can solve a lot of problems, or like prevent a lot of
yeah.
issues. So, um,
I was telling Billy that as soon as we brought her home, like because I've been reading for like a couple of weeks now before I got her, so
yeah,
we started training like right off, so just to get used to it
that's
and not wait.
awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. She sent me a picture of your puppy, and I was like, "Oh my God." I told her, I was like, "Billy, like the only bad thing about teaching puppies all the time is that I'm like, oh, I want another puppy." And then I remember what it's like potty training, and I'm like, oh, do I? Do
Yeah,
I?
yeah. Yeah, she did really good the first couple of days. I took so we got her on Saturday, and then I took Monday and Tuesday off from work. So today was her first day, like staying. I can come home on my lunch break, but
Mm-hmm.
she had to stay in her kennel for 3 hours in the morning and then 3 hours in the afternoon. And today was the first day when I got home. I brought her out to go to the bathroom, and then we went back inside, and she did pee on the floor 4 more times. I was like, wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I
Yes.
don't know if it was because she had to hold her bladder longer or if like there's something else going on.
It could be because she had to hold her bladder longer. It could also be because if that was like the first time she spent like a substantial amount of time home alone, that like she was so excited to see you that she wasn't giving
Yeah.
herself enough time to actually like release her whole bladders. She was trying to like stop so she could like see you and play with you. Um,
Yep.
and a lot of time labbies have the tendency of like chugging water. Um,
Mhm.
I don't know if she has that problem, but a lot of labs, they get like obsessive about food and water. Like they'll just
Mhm.
go and go and go and go. So, if you know she's going to be going into the kennel and she's going to be in there for a
Mhm.
little while, definitely, like if she is one of those dogs, like try to like moderate that for her to like help her out a little bit.
Yeah. I do have to pick her water up because she loves the water, so she just wants to play in it.
Ah, yeah.
So when I give it to her periodically throughout the day, she's on my back.
Hi, pretty girl. Oh my gosh, she's adorable.
Thank you. I haven't had a puppy at this peppy stage since I was like 18 years old and I'm 47, so it's been a minute.
So, I might have to go close my front door. We,
Oh,
I'll be right back.
okay.
Hey, leave it. Leave it. Bruce, just the neighbor, bud. Bruce, you're good. Come on, come on. Oh. Hi there.
Hello.
Bruce, come here. Leave it. Thank you. How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Welcome to the class. Me and Amy were just chatting about her new little silver lab puppy, who's absolutely adorable. And how are you guys?
Good, good. I'm still in the process of eating my dinner. I have to apologize. Got home from work at about 15 minutes ago, so
No,
scrambling around a little bit to get everything together.
yeah, no worries at all. The first few minutes is just going to be a little bit of discussion, anyways. So like,
Okay.
no worries at all. I think. I think this is everybody, because there is one more person signed up, but she's out of town this weekend. Let me just double check really quick to make sure.
So I see on you guys that it says Tori on your screen. Is this
Yeah.
Tori McDonald?
No, that this is we're on Tori's MacBook right now, so her name comes up there. I'm Sean. This is Olive, my daughter.
Hi. Is it Tori
Boys.
McDonald, though?
It is Tori
Hey,
McDonald,
Bruce.
yes.
Okay.
Leave it.
I live in Emden. I don't live that far from you.
Okay, yep.
Yeah.
And we've got, let's see, I can bring the camera around. This is Hazel. Hazel, do you want
Hi,
to say hi?
Hazel.
Like, how does this work?
Yeah, she's been at doggy daycare all
Bruce,
day,
you're
so
killing me today.
she should be fairly worn out and fairly mellow and fairly receptive. Oh, that dog is beautiful.
Yeah, there she is.
Oh my
Aw.
goodness. Yeah,
I-
she's gorgeous.
I don't have a puppy, but the boys are gonna help me out. Bruce,
Perfect.
he's being ridiculous right now because my neighbor decided that they were gonna do all of their yard work today. And I'm like,
Oh.
yeah, Bruce, please leave it. Shh. Shh. Bruce.
All right.
He's like darting his eyes back and forth, looking at me and looking at the lawnmower. I'm like, come on, man. Okay, so, sorry, I was trying to check. Wow. That was unfortunate. Sorry, guys. Hershey was trying to climb under the table to lay at my feet and it smacked it forward. But yeah, I believe this is everybody. I accidentally clicked out of it earlier. And then we can go ahead and get started. Okay, Charlotte. Oh, Maria's not in here yet. That's who else it was. Which is funny because I just talked to her earlier on the phone and she was so excited. So I wonder if she's still going to be joining us or not. But regardless, we're going to go ahead and get started because obviously I don't want to take up your guys' whole evening. So this class is going to be slightly different than some other dog training classes that we've been to because in my experience, a lot of group classes pretty much exclusively focus on obedience training and I think that's the easiest part of dog training. Like pretty much anyone can teach a dog how to like sit. It's like all the behavioral stuff that usually trips people up, you know? So today, obedience wise, we're going to focus on like the two most important things that you can teach your dog, Bruce. And that is being able to get their attention and being able to recall them. Bruce, you're killing me, Smalls. Because if you're able to get a dog's attention and get them to you, you can solve most issues or prevent most issues from happening. So if you have those two things super, super solid, you're like one step ahead of the game. So that's where we're going to start out. And then I'm going to give you guys like a week to practice it around like distractions and everything like that. Because when in doubt, that's going to make the rest of our training that much easier. And the first thing that we're going to talk about is kind of how dogs learn, okay? Because if you can understand that, it makes everything way easier. Essentially, when it comes to dog training, if you consider them like a toddler and you treat them as such, you'll be good to go. Like they need communication, you know, like you can't just like tell them no and then not give them something else to do because they're not going to understand why they're being told no and then they get defiant, right? Like see what they can get away with. So if we tell them no and then give them something else to do or like whatever, that helps a lot. So because dogs learn by association, what we're constantly going to be doing is building either a positive or a negative association with a behavior. Obviously, if it's something we want them to continue doing, we want to make sure that it's very, very positive. And if it's something that we want them to stop doing, that's where it becomes a negative, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean like, you know, like yanking them or anything like that, but like even just like removing toys sometimes, putting them down for a nap so they can reset. That's one of the most common things I see with puppies is they get overly tired and they start throwing tantrums. So if your puppy is like that, you know it's time for a nap, right? You're not going to be able to get much done with them. They're not going to listen to you. They're over threshold, they're tired, and they're throwing a fit. Put them in their kennel with like a nice chew toy, something that they can still burn that like neurotic energy off with and like let them take a nap. And then usually 9 times out of 10, they wake up all sunshine and daisies and it's like a completely different dog, right? So if your puppy, like towards the end of the day, just starts acting like a crazy person, just know it's probably time for bed. And that's also probably not the best time to do a majority of your training with them, if possible, okay? Um, Outside of that, how we are going to teach all of our obedience here is just by marking the behavior and then rewarding them for it. There's different ways that you can choose to mark a behavior, but essentially what marking it does is it tells them exactly the moment that they did what we wanted them to do, which then gives us an opportunity to reward them for it. Essentially, we're going to use our marker for like the rest of their life essentially. So make sure you pick something that's like I never really recommend using like 2-word markers like good boy, because like um if you use it already regularly, you know what I mean, it's not going to have much meaning to them. So like with my boys, I always say yes, because like very rarely in my life do I ever just exclaim yes like that out of nowhere. So like they can differentiate it pretty well. I mean, you can use whatever word you want. You can also use a clicker if you would like, whatever's the most comfortable to you. I usually recommend using a mark word just because then you don't have to worry about like, oh, I forgot my marker, like I forgot my clicker, you know, or like, and then have to kind of teach them a new mark word on the fly so you can accomplish the same thing. I also just don't like to have more things than necessary in my hands. So the choice is up to you. But to build our association between the mark word and our food treat, it's very, very simple. Once you've picked what it is, you're just going to get like, you know, like 5 to 10 treats in your hand. Doesn't have to be a lot, because usually they pick this one up pretty quick, but you're just going to say yes and then immediately give them a treat. So we want them to know that every single time they hear that word, we're going to give them a treat. Yes.
And that's what we've actually started using that with Hazel.
Perfect.
Tori has been working with Hazel on recall on everything, and because we have met with Billy, she recommended the use of the word yes, so that's the one that we have been using.
Oh, perfect.
I also have been starting using the word yes too the last couple of days with her.
Excellent. Have you guys seen like an improvement since you started doing that?
She's
Actually, yes.
Yeah, she's a very smart dog. She picks it up very quickly. The only issue that we ever have is she's whether she wants to or not. You know, sometimes you can just tell she knows what she's supposed to do, but she will hesitate, and if you don't have the treat, she will not recall. You know, she knows the difference between when you have a treat and when you do not have a treat, and she'll look at you. The only other issue we have with recall is we have another dog in the house, and if we because they're not always together, so we have to go through that section of the house to get to the outside where she goes to the bathroom and stuff. So sometimes when we go out and when we come back in, she wants to go visit that dog, and she doesn't just go see it. She jumps up on the couch. She gets right up in the dog's business, and she's very excited as a puppy is. The dog's like 4 or 5, and to get her and to tell her to come or to get her to recall, it just doesn't happen. She's like, no, this is what I'm doing right now. I want to hang out with this dog. You know, I'm not listening to you. So other than that, yeah, go ahead, Hope.
The dog doesn't really want to hang out with her after time.
With who?
Bo and Hazel.
Yeah, well, no, that's beside the point.
I mean, honestly, like if you guys would rather, especially since it's just the two of you guys today, if you would like to kind of like we could focus on like those sorts of issues too if you want, since you guys have already kind of started working on the basics of this, and I can kind of help you guys like more fine tune where you're at then.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
If you would like to do that. Okay, so have you, with Hazel, have you guys played the name game with her? Like, Yeah. Have you taught her
Tori,
the?
Tori's watched a lot of your videos.
Okay,
Tori's watched a
awesome.
lot of your videos. She's very into the video stuff.
Awesome. And have you guys been working on have you guys looked at any of the videos on like engaged disengage exercises?
That I don't know that we have yet. Hey.
Okay, perfect. So
I
like
don't think I have that one either.
okay, well, we will work on that then today because that's like a huge part of like working with puppies, okay? So with what she's doing with the older dog, it has just become like a self-rewarding behavior for her because and she goes completely over threshold. Like that's why she's not listening to you. That's why she's not responsive or anything. Um, and so what we need to do is help her learn how to control her excitement, like when she's around Bo and like be able to manage her even if she's not on the leash. Um,
Okay.
we are gonna start with her on the leash though, just for
Yep.
like sake of ease. Um, yeah, because if you fail like trying to do it off leash at first, it'll just make it that much harder. So we're gonna start with her on leash, and when you're bringing her back into the house, is the point where I want you guys to put her on a leash. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
we have been doing that on and off, just not consistently. So yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
So, since you're doing it already, that won't be too big of a change for you at least. But
Okay.
as you're starting to go, if as soon as the second that she like tries to bolt to go towards that other dog, just stop. Um, and like even if she like hits the end of the leash like a little bit hard, just stop because like we want to teach her like in that moment that like that's not going to work for her. Like she
Okay.
can't just come in the house sprinting like a maniac. So just stop right there and then try to disengage her. So whether you're like don't necessarily say her name because like if she doesn't respond the first time, we don't want her to think that she doesn't have to listen. But like using like the loud excited puppy noises like I've talked about in my videos, like something like hey hey or like kissy noises or oh I know Hershey hears all my noises. He's like wagging his tail. Um, but use like noises like that to get her to disengage from it. As soon as she disengages, good, reward her, tell her good girl, and then try to start walking down the hallway again. And then you're pretty much going to repeat that process the whole way down the hallway. But as she's starting to go, if you can disengage her like before she gets to the end of the leash and like teach her that like hey like we're staying calm in the house, like we're staying calm in the house, and what we're trying to do is gradually get her to be less and less excited each time that
Okay.
you go to approach Bo. So it's really important to pay attention to like her body language, and like if you turn around and you immediately see her trying to like speed up and take off, like hey hey like automatically get her redirected back on you. And if you have to like even if you have to kind of like not like yank her, but like just like stop and like slowly start moving backwards to encourage her to come that way. Like, because like usually the leash will be taut at that point. So if you just slowly step backwards, it'll be just enough like extra tension this way to help encourage her to turn back your way if you're having trouble getting her to disengage. Um,
If we get her to disengage and she starts to come back to us, use the word yes.
yes, yep,
And treat.
yep,
Just
yep.
like you would with recall. Yep.
Yep, absolutely. Every single time she disengages and comes back to you, awesome. Reward her. Make it, because what we're trying to do is make staying calm and responsive to you even more rewarding than that behavior that she's been doing with the other dog. So, like, and if she's walking down the hall and maybe she's like to the point where she's like not yanking, and for the record, this applies to anything that your dog is acting like this towards, okay? Like, not
Yes.
just this situation in the house, but like, if you're like trying to approach a building or a park or like a new person and your dog is just like, trying so hard to fight you to get there, we're going to do the same thing, right? Like we're just going to disengage them. And the key about the disengagements is like if your dog is already completely over threshold, you want to actually see like their body language change. Because
Yep.
like usually as soon as you disengage them and they look at you, you like almost see them take a deep breath and their tail starts wagging, and then you can like reward them, right? That's
Yep.
what we're looking for each time we disengage them, because we know that we're taking them down a notch, which is what we want. We don't want them to live in that heightened state. So as you're like walking down the hall, if she's not pulling with you and she's like, oh, I got this game figured out, like I'm just gonna walk along with them, keep rewarding her. Like if she like
Yeah.
stays with you, because like that's just gonna help with your healing and like your loose
Yep.
leash walking later on. And like I said, the more opportunities you have to reward her for that nice calm behavior, do it up. That controlling, like teaching a dog how to control their emotional reactions like that, is like one of the hardest things that you can do. And like if Bo is comfort, like if you trust Bo to issue like minor corrections, do you like, then you,
We've had a few issues, so
is he
no,
pretty,
it's a fine line. It's a very fine line. There are times when he can issue a correction, but let's just say Bo's not the best trained dog either, so he's not exactly a good role model. Um, Judy, my mother-in-law, has also been working with Bo on his behavior as well. She's been working with Billy too.
yeah,
So but he's old enough so that he does know. He just it's not he's not always giving corrections. Sometimes it's beyond a correction.
yeah.
Sometimes it's making sure that he doesn't get past that it's just a correction, and then she understands what to do. It doesn't always happen like that.
So, actually, what we're talking about right now is how you can help him, help her, right? Because like
Yep.
we don't want to put Bo. I actually worked with Bo and
Yep.
Judy as well. Yeah.
Judy as well. Yep.
Yep. And they so like I know we were working with Bo too, but like on Hazel's side, these like disengage exercises and like promoting those calm behaviors and stuff, you're gonna do kind of the same thing with like Bo, and like introducing
Yep.
her to Bo, and then that way like you can help her understand what Bo is teaching her.
Yep.
And then that way he can escalate less and less, and she'll still learn to back off. And the
Yep.
same principle to that applies to like what we're doing here. Like you obviously start out with one or both of them on the leash, and then as soon as you see Bo's body language change, that's when like you're gonna like remove her, so that like, because we want her to like see that change as well, or like see like the little like growl or like whatever. Like we want her to catch the first warning and learn like, okay, disengaging at that point is way more rewarding than staying here and getting bit by Bo, you know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
Kind of like take her interest off of it. um Even if you want to like use like a toy or something like that to like give her something else to do. Like I've had a lot of puppies at my house throughout the years, and one thing that I've found that works really well is like if you like tell them to like leave it or or whatever, and then you just squeak, like if they're into balls, if you can like squeak a tennis ball and like throw it for them right away. So then like you're teaching them that like they don't always have to bug the other dog when they want to play. Like there's other stuff that they can do. They don't have to be all up in their grill all the time.
Yep.
Plus it's super rewarding for them. So whatever works best for you guys. I don't know exactly how everything works, but like even if you
Right.
did it on like opposite sides of like a baby gate, that would be a really
Yep.
easy way for them to be able to like sniff and interact. And as soon as like you see Bo like kind of being like or then you can just disengage or make it fun. um but yeah, so that's what you're going to be working on. And just like you said, like I said, as soon as she starts going, just stop, and then use your hey heys and really excited sounds, get her to come back to you, and you're rewarding her. And like we're looking for that calmer body language. one mistake I see, as long as we're on the topic of like engage, disengage, I'll say two of the most common mistakes that I see people make with engage, disengage is that they'll either try to keep their dog from looking at it at all. So like the dog isn't really like building any association with it. If anything, it's like a scared association because like, well, why is my mom trying to make sure I don't see this? Like what's going on over there? So like trying to prevent them from seeing stuff usually doesn't help. Like we want to like take the opportunity to build a positive association with it. And then the other mistake I see is like when somebody's dog is like really over threshold and they're like, jumping or lunging or like really pulling on the end of the leash and like people just try to tell them to like sit. And like they're like, well, I have him sit. And like it's like, well, your dog's essentially having like an anxiety attack. Like he's experiencing so much. He's not listening or like responding to anything you're saying. He's way too up here. And when you tell him to sit down, like he's not stopping having an anxiety attack. He's just sitting down while he does it now. So like we want to help them learn how to actually calm back down and kind of level out. That way they'll be more responsive and they're not just living in a constant state of craziness. um, does all of that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Olive? Kind of. Do you have questions?
If you have questions you can ask them.
You just said it kind of makes sense, so.
Makes sense enough that I understand.
Okay.
Well, the good news is, like you guys are always welcome to like upload videos and stuff in the chat. So like as you start like working on it and stuff, if like you just want to make sure that you're doing it right or you want any feedback or whatever, just record a video and upload it for us, and we'll be more than happy to watch it and like give you feedback or like make any adjustments or whatever.
Yep.
And then Amy, how have you been doing with recall?
So, she's been doing, it's the same. I mean, she's only 8 weeks old, so if she wants to, she'll do it, and if she doesn't, oftentimes, she's kind of a chill pup, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, when I take her outside and I want to start doing some training, she'll just, like, sit there and look at me like, what are we doing? I don't want to do this right now. It's funny, but if I have a leash on, I just kind of, like, walk so she feels a slight pull and she'll come with me. So I will say her name, and if she looks at me and she'll come right over and sit down, I do the yes, and then she gets the treat. So she's just if she is being outside is where she loses her concentration because she wants to eat everything off the ground. She wants to sniff.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
Uh-oh. Did we lose her?
Amy's frozen in time.
I know she was outside. She must have like walked out of her like good Wi-Fi range or
Right.
something like that.
It doesn't take much. She only had to move the phone a certain way, and sometimes that'll do it.
Right. That's how it is at my dad's house. Like if you have like pretty much like a 10 by 15 foot square, like halfway down his driveway where you're guaranteed to always have reception. And if it's raining, you just don't talk on the phone. So it's fine. Well, while we're waiting for Amy to hop back in, is there anything?
I think she's
Yep.
trying to get back on. We're gonna have her in 2 windows.
Right. I might be able to close one of them out for her. She must have opened a new one in a separate window.
I don't know what just happened.
There she is. She's back.
My phone just totally shut down, and it wouldn't even let me get back into the app for a minute. That was really strange.
I wonder if
Sorry about that.
Oh no, you're fine. I wonder if it just made you go through like a reset time or something.
I wonder.
Weird.
Maybe. That was weird. The only access I have to anything is my phone because we don't have internet at our house at the moment, so makes it a little bit different.
Yeah, that makes it hard for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think just getting her attention. I try clapping my hands, I try patting the floor, I do the noises, and then finally I'll get her attention and then she'll come. I just think being persistent with it and just keep practicing, I think eventually she'll totally get it. She's pretty smart already.
That actually brings up a question with me. I've heard before that you shouldn't repeat it, because if you continue to repeat it, it kind of loses its meaning. So with recall, do you say it once, and if they don't, you need to have them on a leash so that you can make them respond? That's a question I kind of have.
So usually, whenever I'm teaching a puppy recall for the first time, I always do it off leash because
Off leash, okay.
yeah, because like I have found that like dogs are too smart essentially, and like they figure out that like recall on a leash is not the same thing as recall off a leash, and like that's when you start to get like that dog that's like and then
Yeah.
they take off. So I like to teach it off leash, and I always have like a three chance
Back it up.
rule essentially with recall,
Go
like
on.
when I'm first teaching it. So like first, obviously, like I'll say the cue. If they don't listen, I'll do all this sort of stuff that like Amy was saying, like making loud noises and like patting on the ground, and like if I have to like run a little bit. Another thing I was gonna suggest, Amy, is like using a squeaky toy.
Yep.
Because that like especially for like dogs that love to play, that squeak is like it's so distinct, they know exactly what it is. And so like use that to your advantage if you have to, and like once they recall to you, great, you can go ahead and like throw the ball for them, and it's like a reward in and of itself. So
Yep.
I always teach it off leash first, so then like that's the only association they ever have with recall. And obviously you're gonna teach it like indoors, inside and stuff, like before you start getting crazy, or like you want to make sure. But the good news with puppies is like if you make recall just ridiculously rewarding right at the beginning, they enjoy it. There are like you honestly want to avoid using. There's really only one sort of correction that actually like helps with recall, and if you start it correctly from the beginning, you usually don't have to. But like e-collars are pretty much the only like tool or correction that like could help with recall, but that's like later on down the road if you are trying to like proof it with like a now older dog. Like I don't I don't personally put e-collars on puppies just because I'm like just take the time to teach them. Um but like later on down the road those can be helpful because they have the beep on them. And if you were just using the beep setting, even as a puppy, like that would be okay. Because like that beep, like it always gets their attention, and then you can start your recalling process. Because it's also not good to say like, because obviously you don't just want to say their recall cue if they're not even paying attention to you. Like if they're running in the opposite direction and you yell come, like the chances of them like a hearing it very slim. um Sorry, excuse me. And b like you don't want to have to say it again, right? On the off chance that they did hear it and they're choosing to ignore it, you don't want to have to say it again. So like the beep can be really helpful for that. Same with why I put so much emphasis on their name, because especially with my dogs and constantly having multiple dogs in my house, like when I say their name, they stop whatever they're doing and they look at me. Um, and that's in most situations because they've been out and about quite a bit. They've gotten a little rusty lately because I haven't been doing as much focused work on them, but been all on you guys. Just kidding. But for real though. But
Well, we appreciate it.
yeah, very much enjoying myself. So, but like the beep is beneficial again if you have like a squeaky toy or something, or like you really, really want to solidify the name thing. Because like if you can get their attention and then employ all your recall techniques, as long as you've been doing it correct all along, 9 times out of 10, like you're gonna have a strong recall. On the times that they don't come, you're gonna go over there and grab them and like make them come with you. So like usually I have like a 2 chance rule max. It's like if I like call you and you don't listen, that's chance one. Chance two is like me doing all of the other recall stuff. And then like chance three, like I'm going to get them and like they're gonna be on a leash or whatever from that point. Cause like um I have like kind of a zero tolerance policy with like recall when I'm training it at the very beginning because I don't want to like punish them because I don't want them to think that recall is negative, right? So like I'm not going to like run over there and grab them and yell at them or like be angry with them. I'm just going to simply grab them, put them on their leash and they're done doing whatever they, you know what I mean?
But it's also not optional.
Exactly.
It's mandatory.
Exactly. Like I'm not going to punish you, but you still have to do it. Like no matter what, like you're done. Because especially with intelligent dogs like you guys have, they're always going to be one step ahead of you and like every opportunity that they get to like outsmart you essentially, like they're just getting like smarter and smarter and smarter, you know? So like
always nodding her head. She's like, oh
yeah, she's right. She's like
Yeah.
oh yeah,
So
she's
true.
The leave it one is my favorite.
yeah.
yeah.
Figure out if she just doesn't do anything with the toy, and she's like, "I get the treat. I left it."
She's like, I tricked you. Yeah, dogs are way smarter than a lot of people give them credit for, and they'll like figure you out real quick, and they'll like try to constantly push those boundaries. Um, but yeah, the key is like with puppies like that, especially like kind of like headstrong females, like it sounds like she might be a little bit. Um, it's even more important that like you don't let them win and that you have like strict boundaries. I know this sounds crazy, but like in my experience, female dogs are more likely to act spitefully than a male dog. Like a male dog, if he like gets told no or whatever, usually he's gonna be like embarrassed and like go sulk in the corner. You know what I mean? Like they're not really gonna get real crazy, but like female dogs, they're like the type that are like, oh, good, you want to tell me no? I'm gonna find something else to do, you know? And you're probably not gonna like whatever that other thing is that she's going to do, you know? Um, that's been my experience with way more female dogs than males. And so um, just having those like strict boundaries and like just remember that like the more strict you are with them as puppies, the easier it will be later because once they're older and they're bigger and they're stronger and like they already have learned behaviors, well, now you're trying to train them things while simultaneously breaking behaviors. Where if we just teach them the behavior that we want right away, they don't know anything different. And then you can just get better and better and better and better as opposed to having to kind of like stop and correct along the way.
Yes, totally.
Hey.
Another thing, so one of the things I wanted to talk about today was exposure, because especially for excitable dogs, exposure work is going to be crazy, crazy important. I know you were saying, Amy, that like she's constantly distracted by everything outside and like, she's a lot harder to like get to respond outside and stuff. And like, that's where a lot of exposure work comes in. And like, keep in mind that like, a lot of people, when they think about like socialization or exposure, they think about just people and other dogs. But the truth is like, most dogs that have like crazy fear or like crazy reactivity or whatever, like they're scared of a lot of stuff, and it's because they were never properly exposed to it. And so like even though sometimes it seems silly, if you take the time to like nicely introduce them to like the vacuum cleaner and to the car and to like hair dryers and nail clippers, hair clippers, maybe like definitely like the bathtub, like all of those things that like are a daily part of a dog's life, or not daily, but you know what I mean, regular part of a dog's life. If you take the time to expose it when they're young, they'll have nothing but a positive association with it. So even like going to like the vet's office, like um, take some time to work with her, like, or work with them like at the vet and like help them like learn how to stay calm, teach them that like, you know, it's not just a bad place. Because like if the only experience they have with your vet's office is like going in for like shots or like, you know, have their ears clean and like that sort of stuff, obviously they're going to have a very negative association with it. So if we kind of take the time, and it doesn't even have to be a ton of time, even if you just get to your appointment like 10 or 20 minutes early and like spend some time like walking them outside and letting them kind of settle down and stuff before you go inside, it'll be a much better experience for them. Um, and you want to do that any place that like you take them regularly. Not only is this good for exposure purposes, but it's good for obedience and just listening in general. Because dogs learn by association, they don't always associate the behavior that they should have in one location with the behavior that they should have in another. So like, in other words, just because they know what you want at home, like those rules go out the window when you're somewhere else unless you teach them, you know? So
Right.
the more and like the more locations you teach them in early, they say it takes six, a dog learning it in six completely different locations before they like associate it generally. So that's like the kind of, that's like the number I tell people to shoot for, is like try to get them out and about and working in at least six different places just to make sure that like they know it's an all the time thing. um Same with like if you're somebody that wants to go to like take your dog to like sit on a patio or like sit like, or like go to the park or like playgrounds or stuff like that. um Especially like exposing them to like little, like a lot of little kids is always a good idea. Especially if you have the ability to make it very very positive for them. I never recommend like necessarily letting puppies like wrestle and tussle with kids, because like if it's a dog that's not around kids every single day and doesn't know how to like what's too much or whatever,
Yep.
we don't want them like growing up and then suddenly like tackling a kid and thinking it's fine because the last time they did it was when they were a baby, right? So I usually just tell people not to do that, generally speaking. And it's also really easy for someone to get like accidentally hurt too. Like, but yeah, that's just my personal thing. Like, obviously, still have them play with them, and like playing with them is a good thing. She's hilarious right now.
Yeah, I'll be honest, as well as not having a lot of time to get myself something to eat, she didn't get to go out before we got started. So I came home with her from daycare. We came in, I went upstairs, got my food, and then we came right down here. Well, I had to feed her as well. So she's had her dinner, but she hasn't had a chance to go out. So we've been kind of keeping our eye on her. She's really good about things. Oh, she's actually laid down in the chair now.
Oh, good.
She's finally settled.
I
But
was gonna say,
yeah,
if you see her, if you see her,
she's, there's some things that I need to get done.
if you, yeah, if you see her get up and like look like she has to go potty, by all means, like take her.
Okay.
Like don't sacrifice letting her pee in the house just for me. Like,
No,
um,
we it's crazy because we've had her we've had her for a couple of months, and we had like 3 pee accidents. Like the first week that we had her, we had a small area rug. We got rid of that area rug, and we've only had 2 incidences since then, and they were both on a bed. which
Oh,
was unfortunate. Oh yeah, but neither of them were her fault. They were both my fault for not having, look, kind of been like, oh man, it's been a little while. You must need to go out. And she didn't know any better. But there's something about soft surfaces like the carpet or the bed that she associates that with, like, okay, that's an area where I can pee. She won't do it on the hardwood floors. She
interesting.
hasn't done it on the couch yet. But again, she's really good about when she needs to go. You can you can read her language. She gets up. Normally, she's pretty chill. She'll play with her toys. She's an obsessive licker, which I don't quite get. I mean, she likes to get right. She lick your face. She loves the ear, the neck. She'll lick at your hands and your arms. And again, usually a lot of times you have to tell her no. Because she'll
Yeah.
just sit there and do it and do it and do it and do it and do it. And I don't know if it's soothing for her, if it's a pack thing where she's trying to say, kind of connect with you somehow. I'm not, I don't have 100% sure understanding on that, but she is an obsessive licker. Like, she'll lick your clothes sometimes, like your shirt.
A blanket.
A blanket, yeah. I mean, she's quite a character. But she's
I
been an amazingly good dog. For like, she's just getting close to 9 months. She's been really well behaved.
That's
And for a
awesome.
dog that came from Texas, that we got her at 7 months and we didn't know anything about her, it's been really good, and she's been learning really fast. The
That's
more we work with
awesome.
her, the quicker she learns. As you've said, the more stuff that you do with her, the better she is.
Yeah. And I mean, that's awesome. And like, um, what I was gonna say about the licking, because ironically, Hershey is a licker as well. Labs, for whatever reason, are like way more likely to be obsessive lickers than like any other dog I've ever met. Um,
Yeah.
but she, like, with him, it's usually one of three things. Either there's something that he smells in it that he's trying to figure out what it is. And like, since dogs are like humans and like their taste can like help with like the scent, they'll like keep
Yep.
licking it if they're trying to figure out what it is. So like that might be something to do with like the blankets, like if there was ever like
Yes,
even a
I would
little bit of.
suspect. Yeah, there have been times where there was a treat there, or there was some food or something that she could smell on that blanket, but and maybe that a lot of times could be the situation with the clothes too. Might have dropped something on myself and
Yeah.
forgot about it, and she's like, "Oh man, that smells good."
Yeah.
But the hands
This
and the face and the eye, that's she
that's
does that a lot too. It's the
that's
hands a lot. The hands and the arms is her primary one, because we don't usually a lot of times let her get in her face. If she
yeah.
climbs up, we might let her stay there for a minute, but not being getting right up there in your face and being right up on top of you is something we usually are like, no, no, that's okay. You're down here, and she's usually pretty good. Sometimes she's persistent. It depends.
Yeah, that's like her trying to show love, obviously, but then
Yeah.
like um it can get obsessive, and
Yep.
usually for dogs who are like, this sounds funny, but like who are like orally fixated, they tend to get a lot more obsessive with licking, so like retrievers, especially because like they're bred to like work with their mouths primarily. So like having something in their mouth, or like, they tend to like want to like communicate with their mouth by like putting like, not biting, but like kind of like they.
Mouthing almost.
Right. They like communicate with their mouths a lot. Like, and they also tend to be like a little bit more vocal, like not even necessarily barking, but like they'll make like weird noises and stuff like that. Um and like, if she's like getting like that, like, and she's getting like, and like, if you're okay with it at first, like letting her say hi and stuff like that, that's fine too. And
Yep.
then like when you're done, you like try to redirect her to a toy.
Okay.
Like whenever you want her to be like, okay, love you, Hazel, that's enough, sweetheart, like find her a toy or something. I like to call them pacifiers for dogs, but like essentially she needs something else to do with her mouth, and like she's now fixated on licking you, so let's give her something else to do with her mouth so that like it's not just her like going crazy like I just want to love you, Bruce Lee. That it's just the neighbor buddy. That's my now almost 9-year-old guard dog, and he's to the point where like he just makes noises every time he hears anything. Doesn't he didn't
That's
move.
Bo. That's Bo. He'll stare at his shadow and start barking at it.
I think he's losing his mind a little bit, but like he doesn't like he didn't even budge off, like he stayed laying perfectly flat like that when he was letting out those little barks. Doesn't even bother to get up. He's not gonna do anything, but like he's gonna let you know every single time. Um, I think he's like losing his mind a little bit in his old age. He has a real big divot in his head. My sister's boyfriend used to make jokes that like it was like a dollop of Downs, and I was like, Blake, that's mean to say. And he's like, I mean, he is special, Jordan. And I'm like, you're mean. Like you're mean. I'm like, now you're his brother-in-law, so you can't be talking about him like that. Like, um, but yeah, I don't know. He's always been a character though. Um, but yeah, so make sure that like when she gets like that, you redirect her to a toy, because it'll help in the future too. Like even with Hershey, he's like that. Like he's super well, when he was younger, he was super mouthy. Then I taught him like the pacifier thing, and now like when he starts getting like really excited or whatever, he'll just immediately go and grab his ball, and he'll like have his ball in his mouth, and he'll still like touch me like with his ball, like he'll like kind of like press it against my leg or whatever, and then like usually I'll just play fetch with him a little bit right then and there to kind of get it out, and then like he's good. Because like we don't necessarily want our dogs to think it's bad that they're like loving on us and stuff. But if we can give them something else rewarding to do, it makes it even easier to control it, because like it's going from something rewarding to something still really rewarding. So it just makes it a lot easier to stop it, as opposed to like trying to tell them not to show you love. That's like impossible for a puppy. So, or a dog in general. But is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about today? Either of you? Amy?
No, I like the fact that you said to do it without the leash, because I was doing it without the leash, and then I don't know what changed my mind. I guess I was afraid of her taking off or whatever, so I put her on the leash. But I think I'm going to start doing it without the leash, especially where she's so little. I can outrun her.
Right? Or she'll get too tired and you'll be able to like, aha, I got you now. Like
Right. Yeah.
We have we have a nice little fenced in yard, so we definitely have a good place to work with Hazel on the recall thing. So yeah, no, we'll definitely keep working on that.
Good.
And we'll be doing it off leash too. So, but for me, and I'm going to have Olive work with the recall. That's going to be one of her things. And for me, I'm going to really work on coming in and out of the room when we go out to go to the bathroom on a leash with Bo, and get her really used to that recall when she gets herself heightened, like she's going to go run right over and she gets too excited.
Yeah, and definitely. And like I said, while you're working on that, if you have any questions or you want any feedback or whatever, just
make a video.
Yep. And then that way we can review it and kind of tweak it. And like, I can like review it even like before next week's class or whatever. And then we can like discuss it, or whatever works best for you. But yeah, just definitely let me know if you have any issues or whatever. And same with you, Amy. Let me know. Try to use the tennis ball thing, or like if she has another squeaky toy that she likes. If you're having trouble, try one of those, and see if that helps you be able to get her attention a little bit. Obviously, I would say don't make it too hard on her. Like get her like practice like ideally when you're transitioning from outside or like inside to outside, if you can work on like pavement or something like that at all before like they're in the grass, only because there's so many more scents and bugs and like little things, and you know what I mean, there's just so much more distractions,
Distractions.
yeah, in the
It's so
grass.
true.
Yeah, and so like if you can like in like a driveway or like even in like if you have like a dirt driveway or whatever, if you can work them somewhere like that where there's not as much, or like even if you transition to like the garage and you leave the door open so it's like a
Hmm.
concrete floor but like they're still getting like all that like noise and the noise exposure from outside while still inside, that's a really good option too, or like a porch or a deck or something like that. um
Yep.
and anything like that where you're not necessarily in the grass is a great way to transition, that way like it's not as overstimulating for them. And it's also
Yes.
a lot easier to make noises because like I like to like pat, like I'll like pat on stuff like on the ground and stuff because it's you can make like a louder clapping noise and it like is on their level, and so like it like that's kind of like my last resort if they're not listening, like I'll like get down and like smack on either like the pavement or like the porch, and that usually works pretty well, especially like a porch or something because it echoes a little bit,
Louder.
I guess. Yeah, yeah. um
I like snapping my fingers. I
yep.
find
Yeah,
that for me, I've always done that. So
yeah.
and Hazel actually responds to it pretty well, honestly.
I
Yep.
I actually do that a lot too. I snap a lot. I don't know why I never like think of that to tell people because I do it all the time.
Yep.
Um,
It's a sharp noise. It's a
yep.
quick, sharp noise, and just like you're saying with the beeps and stuff, it's
Hmm.
something that gets their attention quickly,
Right, right.
Yes.
Especially,
similar to a clicker.
yeah. I, yeah. I don't, I hate clickers personally, but like I
I've never
know
had any luck with them. I've tried them. I've never had any luck with them.
I think they're just so hard because like mark words, like like it almost becomes like instinctual for you, like you like see and you're like you're saying yes before you even realize it, you know, like I'll like even when I'm working with clients and stuff, I'll like have them like demoing for me and like still I'm like marking the exact second that I see them do what I want and I'm like, "Ooh, I'm sorry." And they're like, "No, it's fine." I'm like, "My bad." Like I get overexcited, but I feel like with clickers there's always a delay, you know, like between when I'm like, oh, because I like I almost forget. I don't know. Maybe I'm too dumb for a clicker. But, um, anyways, was there any last questions before we hopped off today?
I don't think so.
No, I feel like I got a lot of good information to try with her, so I'm excited.
Good. Excellent. And if you guys have any questions throughout the week, feel free to just like let us know. Um, and otherwise, I'll see you guys all next week.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a great day, y'all.
Thank you. You
Bye,
too.
you too.
Bye.